Good Morning Britain's Richard Madeley was pulled up by MP George Galloway about an off-air question. The former Celebrity Big Brother contestant claimed that the ITV presenter had asked if he was a practicing Muslim before he appeared on the show. Richard and co-host Susanna Reid were probing the politician about his stance on the Iraqi war, which saw him removed from the Labour Party. Richard pushed him on a meeting with Saddam Hussein 3 decades ago, which provoked the politician. "I have spoken about this decades ago. So the British people are in a crisis. Our country can't even defend its own border. It can't even keep control of the thousands of people who've arrived here illegally. The NHS is in total crisis. Our country's falling apart around our ears. And you want to talk about something that happened 30 years ago?" he exclaimed. Not to be outdone, Richard responded, "If you were my MP and I was reminded, that he once cozied up to Saddam Hussein, it will give me pause for thought. I think it's worth reminding people that it happened." This led George to rage. "Well, I was right. It was you that was miserably wrong. You've got cuttings on me. I've got cuttings on you. You parroted your support for a war that turned into an absolute cataclysm, yet you sit there as if nothing happened," he accused. After clashing with the duo further and talking over them while criticizing their questioning, he announced, "Richard asked me off camera if I was a practicing Muslim. I am a practicing Roman Catholic. That's how good his press cutting is," he said. Richard was keen to explain his source following the snub. "I was referring to your profile, which refers to your conversion to Islam a number of years ago." "That's false. It was never part of my life," the MP responded. "That was never part of my life. I'm a Roman Catholic in good standing, okay?" Refusing to drop it, Richard inquired why it was on many websites that he had converted to Islam, to which George simply answered, "I don't know. They're probably coming out of the same schools as Rishi Sunak's false statements standing on steps on Downing Street," he speculated. "Isn't the key word elected? I got more votes than all the other parties put together," he said. Viewers had a lot of thoughts about what they were watching unfold, and took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to air them. At Nina 2019-48 a pint, graceful as ever, slimy Galloway. Can't argue Sir acts like a schoolyard bully. Hashtag Good Morning Britain. At Lackey One asked, "I wonder what George Galloway was expecting to achieve in his interview." Hashtag GMB. At Jane Stuckett observed, "Wow, George Galloway struggling here." Hashtag GMB. Hashtag Galloway. Hashtag Good Morning Britain. At Sarah_SJR64 chimed in, "What a strange argumentative, little creature George is. At what point will people realize some individuals are just the wrong un?" All kicking off on hashtag GMB. Get that weirdo off air, repugnant little man George Galloway at Susanna Reid 10. However, at Diamond Map felt that both sides were at fault during the chat, writing, GMB, and at Susanna Reid 100 hashtag Good Morning Britain. That was a shouting match. Totally biased against George Galloway. Shame on you. Hashtag GMB. Richard and Susanna. George dig at Richard, you should know better. You're old enough to remember. Good Morning Britain is on ITV weekdays at 6 a.m.